Hello, Moist Voicers, and welcome to an edition of the Moist Voice Podcast. This is going to be a special one. As you can see, that big-headed troll Norstar isn't here. We have Kujo with us today. What's going on, buddy?
Not much. Just really excited to be here. Glad that we could pretty up the show a little bit this week.
Yeah, I know, right? Isn't it nice? You get a handsome beard. You know, I get somebody that has a proper beard, although you have like the luscious locks that I'm jealous of. And yeah, you definitely got the full head of hair that I wish I had. It's
I got enough for all of us.
Yeah.
I got enough for all three of us.
I always joke with my fiance, soon-to-be wife Rachel, that I said, you know, if I could grow hair, I'd have like a straight-up like mullet, like Van Halen. Like I'd be flipping it, and you look like you can do that actually, and I'm very jealous of you.
Oh, I do. Like I wake up in the morning and like I take my hair down and I got like these curls going, and I always tell Void, like, you know, man, my hair, like, look at it. I'm gonna have to straighten it out. And she's like, why would you get rid of those curls?
Yeah, I always usually take a straightener to my beard just to keep it straight because it likes to curl up too. But yeah, no, I definitely wish I had hair. So we're gonna jump right into a few things, and we're gonna start it off strong with the one thing that, you know, Matt didn't want us to talk about. We're going to jump right into it, which is anime, just as a big old fuck you to him. Because we're always happy to talk about anime when Matt doesn't want us to talk about it. So, you know, we were talking about a lot animes that we have in common, things that we like watching, and you're huge into Star Wars as I am. And I know that you said, you mentioned the Stay Fate series, which I have seen a couple of. I really like them.
Fate Stay Night is my favorite anime of all time. I don't know why. I don't know why I even watched it. I was just sitting there one day cruising through, and like I saw it pop up, and I was like, I guess I'll watch the first episode of this. And the next thing I know, it was like 16 hours later, and I was finishing the whole series. Ain't right? Yeah, and I was like, well, that was good.
Is it when I watched it, and you said that you watched it? I almost wanted to ask, like, is it because there's almost like a D&D flavor to it with the different? You get the different people, the different, I don't know what to call them, avatars, I guess, that do battle for them?
Yeah, it was basically, for me, it was almost like they were playing fictional Pokemon. Like, you know, one of them sitting here like, I caught King Arthur. And it's like, well, I have Berserker. And
right.
It's like, Berserker, go!
But the difference there is they've got real swords and they're killing people.
Right, that's what I was gonna, and then somebody loses a head, and that's where they diverge a little bit.
Right, absolutely. I got you. All right, yeah, I enjoyed that. I think I only saw the first series, and then I think I saw a little bit of the second one, which I don't think it was called Stay Night. That was something different, right?
Yeah, I have to actually check on what that one was called. I don't remember. There was Unlimited Blade Works, Heaven's Feel.
You know what? Unlimited Blade Works is the one that I watched. I enjoyed that one. And then you also... Fate Zero, that's the other one. Okay. Yeah, I watched a little bit of that, but not the whole thing. And then you also talked about Seven Deadly Sins that you enjoy. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy Bond, but I can't really say I enjoy the whole thing as a whole. I like Bond because he's just a dick. I think I'm drawn to characters like that, and I don't know why.
Yeah. So for me, like Seven Deadly Sins danced the line for me, like Magi did, and you know, it's when they start getting a little too like anime, like when emojis pop up on the screen and stuff like that. For them, like that stuff drives me insane. Like right. But the story for that was so good. You know, the bad guys are actually the good guys type thing. Like that's my jam. Like that was.
Well, plot twists like that are always welcome. But you know, because we were also talking in the Discord about, you know, they were. I believe it was Zeticus that was looking for like new anime to watch and suggesting things like that. And because we're both older, I'm about to turn 40. I think you said you turned 40 just before me, like another month or so. So you remember
1 month and 7 days.
Yeah, you remember the nostalgic ones, like we mentioned, like Gundam Wing and things like that. And I actually just started rewatching Gundam Wing today. It popped up on Hulu, and I was like, yes, please, and I started watching.
I will tell you.
Go ahead.
Zoids. Like if they remade Zoids, like anything Zoids, if they did, like that is absolute best tier.
But I feel like that's a lot of us is like, you got like Zoids, Voltron, Gundam Wing, anything with like like I know I grew up playing like the Armored Core series of games and things like that. Like those
Mm-hmm.
were, and then you get into like, oh my god, when Titanfall came out, like that was I'm like, oh my god, I can be in a big robot and shoot shit. Like, thank you, yes please.
There wasn't enough robot in Titanfall for
No,
me.
there
Like,
wasn't. There wasn't Titanfall 2 though. I think they learned their lesson. They put a bunch more in there, but yeah, it's like the nostalgic stuff like that. Obviously, I mentioned Dragon Ball Z. You don't need a reason to watch that. You just watch that. But I'm a Dragon Ball nerd. And then of course we were talking about, how much of a nerd are you with the anime and stuff. And as I said, that my entire sleeve is anime. And you said you've got a lot of Star Wars tattoos.
yeah, over 60 hours worth of Star Wars tattoos.
Yeah, I am. I'm not sure how many hours I have. I have quite a few. But it's funny that when you find a love for something like that, it's hilarious how deep you can go into it, because a normal person is going to be like, "Oh, what are your tattoos?" And you're like, "Oh, I got lightsabers on me." They're like, "Why?" You're like, "Cause it's for me. It's for me, not for you." And
Yeah.
that's how I feel about my tattoos. When I have a lot of old animes that a lot of the younger generations or newer generations don't even know, like Outlaw Star and Cowboy Bebop and Afro Samurai. Well, Afro Samurai is a little newer, but still.
All right. So let me ask you, how did you feel about the Cowboy Bebop movie?
Are we talking about the movie or the live action series?
Oh, the live action series. Sorry,
Right.
the live action series.
So I went into it knowing that it wasn't going to be the anime, and I'm okay with that. John Cho might have been the best casting, aside from if they'd actually done it 20 years ago like they were supposed to and used Keanu Reeves. John Cho played that part amazingly. The guy that played Jet, 100% amazing. Vicious, not so much. There's a few things I didn't like. The fact that Vicious in the live action series uses guns all the time. No. He should have had his katana the whole time. I get it, he had it, but he didn't use it like he was supposed to. So that turned me off. I don't like the fact that they teased Ed, and Ed was only in the last, 15 seconds of the very last episode. Not happy about that. And I don't like how they merged a lot of the storylines together. But I get it. You got 10 episodes for, what was it, a 26 episode series? I mean, you got a lot you gotta blend in there. So I thought they did as good of a job as they could with what they had to work with. That being said, I'll take the anime any fucking day over the live action series. No.
It's fair.
Right. It's almost like asking. No, and as I said, I liked it. I thought the casting was good. The action was good. The quips that they worked in were good. The fact that, a little inside baseball, they actually tried to put Faye in the original outfit from the anime, but her tit kept popping out, so they actually had to go with something different.
That happens to me all the time.
You're not wrong. Yeah, sometimes you're moving around, they jiggle. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we were talking off stream. You said that you lost a lot of weight, right? On
140 pounds. Yeah,
that is substantial. That's my boy Alfred laying down here. That's a lot of weight. Was there any particular method you used, or was it just
intermittent fasting? Like, I ate like a pig in between, like when I was allowed to eat, but like I had a couple different like mindsets going into it. Like, I used to box, so I say all the time I can do anything for 5 minutes. So if I get hungry, I don't eat for 5 minutes. Like, I wait 5 minutes to eat, because usually after 5 minutes, I'm not hungry anymore.
The craving. A lot of people say that. They're like, you get a craving for food, they're like, suck it up. Don't be a child. It'll go away. Drink some water. You're
Yep.
So what I did recently is I also intermittent fast, because we had talked about it. I'm only down about 20 pounds, but I was still learning how to not overcompensate in my own hours versus not eating. So I was doing the 18-6. And what I did recently is, so today, for anybody that's going to listen to this, today is Sunday, so yesterday was Saturday. I ate a big breakfast yesterday morning, and then I did a 24-hour fast. So I didn't eat.
That's called OMAD.
Is that what it is? Okay.
It's OMAD, 1 meal a day.
Okay.
It's you have 1 hour to eat and then a 23-hour fast.
Okay, so that's what I did. Because apparently I've been looking into it, and there's a lot of health benefits tied to it, as far as your like heart disease. It can kick up your metabolism. you get
Your
less.
cells actually cleanse themselves after you hit that like 12 to 14 hour mark. Like you go through this like cellular regeneration where your cells just like clean themselves up, and you feel better. Like you legitimately do feel better after a week or two of doing it.
Right. So I did it, and now here's the problem. So I ate breakfast. That was at like 9ish, 10ish in the morning, and then later that night dinner. So she's out there cooking for her and the kids. Now that's the problem. I'm starving. And she cooked like chicken fettuccine alfredo. I'm just like, right, like I'm Italian. I'm just like, and she sits down and she starts eating, and like I look at her and she like starts wolfing. I'm like, you don't have to eat fast just because I'm sitting here. I'll get over it. I'm a big boy. But when I woke up this morning, it was interesting because I wasn't hungry per se. Like I hadn't eaten in about 22 hours. But when I woke up at like 8 o'clock this morning, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually okay. And then we ruined it because tomorrow is my son's birthday, so we went to a Korean barbecue place for lunch for him today. I probably ate like 4 pounds worth of like sliced beef.
That's okay.
And it is okay because as long as I skip dinner, well, not skip dinner, I'm going to forego dinner. I'm drinking water. I'm going to, I should be okay.
Black coffee. If you can drink black coffee, like black iced coffee is I have it right here. Like black iced coffee, I drink about 80 ounces of black iced coffee a day.
That's all. See, I don't drink, I don't like the taste of coffee. I do energy drinks. So I do water with Mio. I like doing like a black cherry Mio. That works for me.
Yeah, that's what, so with me, I had to be militant. So it was only water, black coffee, and unsweet tea. Like those were my 3 things that I would have, and other than that, nothing. But like when I would eat though, my meal that I had, I'd go to this barbecue place in Orlando, and I would order 1 pound of pulled pork, 2 orders of fries, and a banana pudding and a large unsweet tea, and that's the meal that I would have for my OMAD days.
Right.
And I would eat that, and I'm good for, like you said, you wake up the next morning and you're like, I don't need to eat yet. And you don't.
I was genuinely surprised that when I woke up this morning, I was like, and before I went to bed last night, I was like, I'm probably going to wake up. There's a show that I watched with my kids called Chowder. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. There's an episode where his sleep cycle's thrown off. When he goes to sleep, he turns into this like gremlin that raids the fridge. And I told Rachel, I was like, I said I'm gonna wake up like Chowder and like wander into the fridge and just like start eating like biscuits or something straight out of the pack or some weird shit. But when I woke up, I was like, wow, I'm not hungry. I made a water and I just started drinking, and I was like, you know what? And she was shocked too. She's like, really? I was like, I'm not horribly hungry. So I wanted to touch on that because I know you said you lost a lot of weight, and I'm currently at 255, right around 250, 255, and I'm trying to get down reasonably to like the 220, 230 range. So I hit a plateau, I guess you'll say. I was 290, I went down to 270, now I'm at 250, and I kind of float between that 250, 260 range. So I'm trying to get it going, but you hit that wall sometimes. You get depressed where it's like I'm not losing weight, and you're like, well, why am I even doing this? You get mad. You're like, why am I starving when I just want to go eat a McDonald's like double cheeseburger or something? It's
yeah, and it does happen, and like sometimes to break that up, you have to do something a little bit different, like hit the gym just for a couple days to break that plateau, or I started running on the beach. I just once I lost enough weight that like I felt okay with not wearing a shirt. Like I was all about going to the beach. Like the second I get there, shirt gets ripped off, and I just wearing a pair of like short. Instead of wearing like knee length shorts, now I wear shorts that are like mid thigh. Like I wear like the shorts.
Can't wear that. Your nuts will hang out, man.
Yeah, I mean but you can't. You got to wear the right boxers now. Like nowadays, you shouldn't be wearing boxers where your nuts hang anymore. Like gravity is gonna get us at this point. Like you got to wear boxer briefs that are giving you that like snug.
Yeah, a lot of people made fun of me for a long time because I actually had a subscription to MeUndies, which I'm a huge fan of. They're awesome underwear. Everybody's like, you're paying like $16 a month for underwear? I was like, yeah, because they're soft. 2, they like support you so well. I'm like, I'll pull my pants down right now and show you. Like, I'm not bullshitting. These things like hug you really nicely.
Well, have you seen the new ones that actually have a pouch for your nuts? Like you just like set them in the pouch to keep them.
I have, but I worry about that. I worry about like a pinch event happening, I guess you'd call it. I'm not sure. I guess I'm paranoid.
I mean, it's a good thing to be paranoid about the boys, though.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm almost 40, eventually I'm going to sit down and sit on one of my balls, and, you're going to have that moment where you jump up, somebody thinks you just got shot in the ass like Forrest Gump or something. So.
I actually have a cousin. Have you ever been horseback riding?
I've not.
So one of the first things you got to do on a horse is you got to tuck. Like before you sit on that saddle, you got to tuck, because if you don't, as soon as the horse starts going, you bounce up and you come down.
Oh.
So he got up to a little bit of a gallop, and all of a sudden we just hear him scream and just fall off this horse. Like it was a rough one. So
oh man, that's horrible. Oh god, I don't know. You ever get the butterflies in your stomach when you say something like you're like, oh god,
yeah,
you can just feel it in your stomach. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to a different topic since oh god, that's a good point to move on from. You crushed your nuts and good lord. So the topic we're gonna get into now, we were talking about, and this is about Japanese slime subway transit layout, which I'm sure I just said that completely wrong.
Pretty close though. So one of the things, and I actually have the article pulled up here so I can be careful about like what I'm saying, but so there is a slime mold, and I'm going to try to pronounce what it is. It's Physarum polycephalum. It's a type of slime mold. It's a single-celled amoeboid organism, and it is known for being able to create the most efficient pathways between food. So it starts out like a slime draped over everything, and then over time it tightens up. So Japan modeled out Tokyo with it and put food where their transit systems were, and had the slime mold build the most efficient pathways, and to put obstacles in there, they shined lights on areas to say like this is where a mountain is, because the mold doesn't like light. Right. And what they found out is there was a 4% variance in the efficiency of their transit system and the mold was on the winning side.
Wow. So they basically built a little Legoland Tokyo and turned this thing loose in it and was like, tell us which way you would go. That's and it's like you hear things like that and you're like, no, that's not real. That's from a comic book. But then you find out it's real and you're like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, they use different size pieces of food for different population centers. The bigger the population center, the bigger the piece of food. Yeah, so then they ended up doing it again for Canada to see how Canada's transit system is. And what they found is Canada's transit efficiency could be raised by 10% if it followed the path of the mold instead of how they laid it out.
Well, I'd believe that. It's Canada, so...
Yeah, I don't know how much of a mass transit system they really have, honestly, but... I don't know a lot about Canada. I know that they're our shield to the north. They're just there to, keep Russia.
America's top hat.
Oh, well, that's it.
It's just weird when you hear things like that, because you wouldn't expect things like that to be real, and then you find out they are, and you're just like mind blown. Because I mean, I'm intelligent in certain areas, but overall, I'm not the smartest guy in some things. And I hear something like that, and I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm not doing anything important.
Yeah. Somebody dedicated their entire life to this mold, and that was their crowning achievement, was that they can use mold to model mass transit systems.
Yeah. What did you want to be when you grew up? I wanted to work with mold and slime and stuff. That's wild. So, all right, let's move into the next one, which is we are going to talk about Star Wars. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but we got to give a special you're wrong to Norstar, who's not here, because we have to talk shit about him because he's not here. So we're going to talk about why Jar Jar Binks is like the worst character ever in Star Wars, and why the only thing worse than that is Jar Jarby.
Jar Jarby, I just refuse to acknowledge, and we all just need to, when he starts talking about Jar Jarby, we just need to turn our heads.
Just mute him.
He needs to be punished for Jar Jarby, I think. That is, when I came in, it was first thing in the morning, and he was so excited to let me hear that damn soundboard. And I heard it, and I just wanted to go back to bed. I was like, God damn it. Like, why would you do that? Now that exists.
Yeah.
Like, that didn't exist, and now it exists, and you did that.
Can you imagine if it goes viral? You start hearing it other places. You'll never live that one down.
Norstar is basically Oppenheimer right now. Like, he made the bomb.
You know what? You said it. Now I can't unsee it. You're right, actually. And if you listen to last week's podcast, for anybody listening to this one, go back and listen to last week. He plays it about 4 or 5 times, and if you look at the look on his face, he is a giddy little high school girl when he plays it, because he really enjoys it. So Jar Jar is pretty much, for anybody that's seen Star Wars, you may feel this way, you may not. Some people do like him. He's comic relief. For people who haven't seen Star Wars, Jar Jar is a character who was brought in originally not as comic relief, but he ended up being comic relief. But there's a lot of theories surrounding him. I guess he's not serious enough in what a lot of people take way too seriously, which is the Star Wars universe, which I said that wrong because I do take it seriously too, but I understand you've got to have those little moments to balance things out. But some people just live and breathe.
I like comic relief.
Yeah.
Like, I like the comic relief. And granted, the original trilogy didn't have a ton of comic relief to it. No. There was little bits and pieces. They went a little over the top with 1, 2, and 3. I love 1, 2, and 3, especially if you take Clone Wars into the big picture of 1, 2, and 3, because you can't enjoy the prequels without watching Clone Wars.
Yes.
Which is why for Norstar, I'm making him watch them in order. Like, he watched episode 1, episode 2. Now we're watching Clone Wars.
Well,
and then he'll watch episode 3.
Right. We also talked about it. He's going to watch them all in your order. And then I'd also, because we've had this argument before about, do you watch them in release order or chronological order? And I made the point, and he actually, he hadn't considered it, that watching it the way you're watching it is perfect for anybody who wants to watch Star Wars. But watching it in chronological order, if you don't know the lore and you don't know the terms and the characters, you can get lost a little bit because they mention things that are already canon for us that we know about that he may not have been introduced to yet. So I thought maybe when he's done watching it your way, he should go back and watch in release order, because you may get a different sense. Because a lot of people talk about Anakin a lot and Darth Vader, how you hate him and then you end up rooting for him, where if you watch it in chronological order, you end up fucking hating him like wholeheartedly. You're a piece of shit.
Well, unless you watch Clone Wars, that's the whole thing. Like, taking Clone Wars into account, like, he is a general, he is a good Jedi, he is a mentor, and not for nothing, but George Lucas himself said that anybody who has never seen Star Wars needs to watch it in chronological order. The way George Lucas recommends the story is chronologically. He even thinks that release order is wrong. That's why he said the reason he went back and did 1, 2, and 3 is it didn't tell the story properly.
Right. Fuck him. He sold up to Disney.
Disney's doing okay though with Star Wars, with other things, but they're doing okay with Star Wars.
It's funny that the TV shows are doing amazingly well, because Mandalorian, I mean, forget about it. That's it. I also think that's a lot of Jon Favreau though. He has taken that franchise and he is such a champion for it, and he's like, look, we're gonna do it our way. Screw you. Well, aside from the Cara Dune kerfuffle that we're not gonna get into.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, I'm upset about that, but it is what it is. One of my favorite parts of Mandalorian is the fact that they had Bill Burr as a guest spot character.
Oh yeah, and he was great too.
Oh, he did such a good job as a comedian. I didn't think he could pull that off. He did such a great job. But you got Mandalorian, and then you've got the Book of Boba Fett, which was good.
Well, just in a couple weeks, we have Ahsoka coming out.
Ahsoka, and she's actually one of my favorite characters. I love dual wielding. I don't know why. It's got to be from Halo days. Just dual. I loved anything dual wielding. Sword and a shotgun. 2 pistols, whatever. Shit, that goes all the way back to GoldenEye, dual pistols and whatnot. But I think she's probably one of the most underrated Jedi story wise. And I don't want to say it's because she's a girl, but I think a little bit of it might be because she's a girl and a Jedi. Maybe.
Well, Clone Wars was hugely about it. Ahsoka was the second main character of Clone Wars. So that was, and she went through the ringer on Clone Wars. And a lot of why Anakin turned out the way he did was Ahsoka.
True. That is true.
So, but that brings me to the new movies. People talking about 7, 8, and 9. It's so weird, the dichotomy of how people feel about it and then what you actually see. You see the hate on Reddit or posts and stuff like that about them. But then you go to a con and you see that the lines to meet Rey are 4 hours long.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I love 7, 8, and 9. Like my least favorite, and I'll say it, my least favorite movies are 4, 5, and 6 of
Interesting.
the entire franchise. Yeah,
Interesting.
I liked Empire for pieces, but like overall story wise, 4, 5, and 6 were mid. Like if I wanted to watch that, I'll just go watch Harry Potter because
Yeah.
at least it's a little more well
Oh,
written.
I love Harry Potter. I like all the movies. What is my least favorite? I don't know actually. I don't know that
It's
I have
got to be A New Hope. Like I can't imagine because A New Hope is just
um
I don't,
I'm a huge Han Solo fan, so
okay.
I
No,
like those
did
movies.
you like Solo then?
So I did like Solo, but not for him. I liked it for the character that Donald Glover played.
Oh,
Dude, he stole the show. Like seriously, he did such a great
yeah.
job. And then you've got the Sith Lords that were in Solo. I like them better than some of the main movies. The problem with Star Wars is they're so good in multiple like different, like you've got the canon, you've got the non-canon, you've got like the side. It's almost like Star Wars is a game of Skyrim. Like you've got your main movies and then you've got your side quests. But even the side quests are really freaking good. You got Solo, you got Mandalorian, you've got Ahsoka, Ahsoka's kind of part of the main quest, but you got Attack of the Clones. So many people that have watched the movies have never seen Attack of or the Clone Wars, and they're like, you have no idea how much you're missing out on story wise because it's canon and people don't know that.
My biggest argument for why you should watch Clone Wars is the scene where Palpatine gets confronted by Mace Windu. The Jedi that are with him are 5 of the best lightsaber masters in the entire order, and they have their own episodes in Clone Wars. You get to see Kit Fisto in all of his glory, and then you just see him get cut down without even reacting, and you don't know how significant that is if you haven't watched Clone Wars.
Yep. You also have no idea, like some of the past, like Sith Lords and whatnot. You have no idea how powerful they actually were because they don't touch on that in the movies. Granted, they may not have time to, but still, it's like you feel almost like it's a disservice to them. Like some of the old Sith Lords, they were so skilled in the Force that they had auras around them, like a shield bubble that you couldn't penetrate. Like, it's just ridiculous when you look at that, and then you're like, well, why isn't that in the movie? And, well, because we didn't have time. Like, what the fuck? It's like, come on, man.
You didn't have time to mention Darth Nihilus, who literally consumed entire planets to keep himself alive.
Right. And but the one thing I did enjoy that they did in Mandalorian, Jon Favreau again, was that they took the voice actors from Clone Wars and they let them voice their live action. Like Ming Na Wen was Fennec, and I am blanking.
And Fennec is just absolutely nuts. Like,
Bro.
oh man, Fennec shit. Oh.
She's a cheat code. That's what they was. She's a cheat code.
That,
She's a bad bitch. And then
she made Boba half as strong as he was. Like, she was one of his weapons in his arsenal for sure.
Yeah, and it was nice. Oh, that's it. And you mentioned the other one, the fact that they let him come back and play Boba Fett. It's awesome that they're tying everything together and they're staying true to it. So for anybody,
and we acknowledge that he may not have been in good enough shape for that when it's like his armor was not fitting well. Like
I feel like they had like a corset under it and they were like footing in his back, like pulling it like a fairy tale, like Cinderella. Like they were really. I feel like it had like ratchet straps just bolted on. Yes, he looked rough to say the least.
He did it though, and not only did he did it justice. And that's what
justice. And then of course there's other little tidbits like throwing Timothy Oliphant into Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett in the little town. I can't remember the name of the guy he played, but he
was the sheriff.
The sheriff. He was an awesome character. Like they throw these things in there, and you're like, holy shit, this is just a TV series. Oh shit, we completely forgot about Andor. Like,
well, I was actually gonna say, Andor was so good, but I was my favorite movie, hands down, out of all the Star Wars movies, Rogue One.
I like Rogue One.
Rogue One is, I always say it, but it's Saving Private Ryan in space. Like it is that type of story. Like Rogue One. But then Andor, like giving him more depth than he already had and explaining like who he was, like that was
It just goes to show you that like even if you're not the biggest proponent of the movies, just the sheer the storylines that they're able to put together are just so powerful that you just you know it's going to tell a compelling story no matter what happens. You know what I mean? It's like it's just perfect that way. So
who's your favorite cameo of all of them?
My favorite cameo of all of them. I want to say Luke. Are we talking about series, movies, everything?
Everything, yeah, just the cameo, like the side character cameo.
I enjoyed Luke showing up at the end of the Mandalorian season where you don't know who it is, but you know who it is. And he's got the hood on, and he's just straight up just murking shit. And it's funny because they talk about it in I've seen some kind of discussion where even Moff Gideon knows who it is too, because he's just like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, son of a bitch, I know what that is. And it's cool because Luke Skywalker was always portrayed as in the light. He was never shadowy. There was always a big light on him. He never looked evil, but when he was stalking them hallways and just straight murking shit, you were like, that's badass. And you'd never really seen him in that, like, I'm gonna fucking die, like, and you know, that was cool to see that they give him that kind of like machismo, bravado, I guess would be the word. That was my favorite one because it's like, as a fan and being older and seeing all of them, it's like, oh shit, there it is. Oh. So, how do you feel about that?
So I like that one. My favorite cameo though is a funny one. Do you remember when Rey was taken hostage and the stormtrooper, the first time she used the Jedi mind trick, and she's like, and you'll put down your gun. And the stormtrooper that gets annoyed, and he's like, and I'll put down my gun. Do you know who that was?
I don't.
That was ST-007, Daniel Craig.
Really?
Yeah.
So he did a uncredited cameo that the same way that is it Jason? Is it Sudeikis? He was the one that was punching Grogu in the bag.
Oh yeah, he's hitting him, and he got so much hate online for that.
They were giving him death threats for that. I was laughing so hard. He's like, just open the bag. He's like, I'm not opening the bag. He's like, shut up. Yeah, that was a cameo that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that one was. But giving him the number, like his official stormtrooper number is 007. Like that's really a cameo. Like
that's really cool. So anybody that's still with us this far, you can tell we're nerds about Star Wars. We love a little bit of Star Wars. So we're gonna move on before people get too damn bored.
Oh yeah.
So all right,
we get Star bored.
So we'll end this, which we're going to go into our Mount Rushmore, which we talked about, which was Star Wars characters. So now we can chop this up a couple different ways. We can do a light and a dark, or we could just do in general your favorite four. I leave it up to you. You're the guest this week, so you take your pick.
I'm going to tell you that my favorite four and my dark side list are going to be the same.
Oh wow, all four.
Yeah, it's always going to be dark side characters.
All right, well, we'll just go with everybody then. So because mine aren't the dark side, but if yours all are, then we can just say, hey, we're combining them. Go ahead. So what you got?
So my top four, probably in order too. I'd start with Savage Opress at the bottom. Like, I love Savage Opress. He's one of my four favorite characters. He was Darth Maul's brother, the yellow Zabrak. And he was pure rage incarnate. Like, they didn't teach him how to use a lightsaber. He just swung it like a baseball bat all the time.
Right.
And then Darth Maul. Always Darth Maul. Darth Nihilus would be like my second bit. And then the top, my favorite, will be Palpatine. Right. Like, there's something about his rise to power and everything that he did to get there and all the like theories around him.
His sustainability, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And that whole idea of, man, was Palpatine or was he actually his master who took his body? Because, he struck his master down and his master wanted him to do it. And all he wanted Luke to do was kill him. And it was so he could take Luke's body, is my fear. That's how I feel.
And then, of course, you've seen 7, 8, and 9 where they're almost kind of setting up the same thing. And I feel like they do that on purpose, though, to like callbacks. They're just like, they get your brain juices working in different ways. All right, so that's your four. Definitely all very powerful Sith Lords. I'm starting to think you're a little bit of a psychopath over there. Don't give that man a lightsaber. He may do dirty things with it. Do you have one? Oh my God, you do have one. My son wants one. There's a website that sells the really they're like $600, but they're like
these are No, the ones that we use are from Saber Forge. Void and I fight with these in the
Oh
house. Like
Jesus
these are
Christ.
fighting lightsabers. Oh yeah, these are the kind that you can use to fight, and we paid like I think $150 for them.
Wow.
And you can change the blades to any color. They're like very, very well made.
Yeah.
And I had a problem with one, and I just sent them an email. They sent me a whole new core for it with instructions on how to take it apart and put it back together.
They sent him a new kyber crystal. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
There's a deep cut for anybody that doesn't know anything about Star Wars. So all right, so my four, and again these are in no particular order. Palpatine is also on my list. I admire his moxie as a politician more than a Sith Lord, to the power that he amassed just by manipulating people. Not even you. For anybody that doesn't know, he didn't use the Force to become like I am the Senate. That was just him. He worked his way into it. He was just that good.
No, it was Jar Jar. Let's
yeah, right. Yeah,
it was Jar Jar.
Jar Jar ruined everything. So yes, Palpatine is definitely on mine because he was able to amass a lot of power, not through the Force, but just by general manipulation and playing people off of each other. So he's definitely one of them. I'm a fan of Han Solo. I've already mentioned it. I love he doesn't fuck around, but he fucks around. If that makes sense. Like he's very serious in getting what he wants, but he does it in very comical ways. I love he's a bit of a dick. I love a good dick. He said that wrong. All right. Yeah, we'll capture that. That'll be a clip. But just his little quips, like the smart ass things that he says, I enjoy that. I liked Rey is one of my favorites just because she was the first one. I mean, let's be honest, she brought in the new generation of Star Wars. If you want to be honest, number 7 kicked off like this entire spiel. She expanded the universe. Like everything came off of that. So she's definitely one of my favorite characters, mostly because she's got a ton of power and didn't even realize it until pretty much the last movie. And spoiler for anybody, you should have watched it by now. You know, the lightning hands, and you've seen it by now. So the fact that she's related to Palpatine, yada, 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 call it what you want, having that kind of dormant power, not realizing it, and then not immediately going to the dark side, that's angelic in and of itself, honestly, in my opinion. And then my last, it's a toss-up. No, I'm going to go with the Wookiee, or not the Wookiee, I'm sorry, Ewoks. Ewoks are my favorite characters. So I love Ewoks.
All
right. You not like Ewoks?
Oh, no. No, I can't stand that. You're telling me that Stormtrooper armor is so bad that a teddy bear with a bow made out of stone can... Nah,
yeah, so
that's so bad.
So for anybody that can zoom in, that is Alfred as an Ewok on my back wall. I love Ewoks, and I'm not saying the Ewoks are powerful or that they didn't have glorious plot armor. Yes, they had plot armor. However, I admire their guerrilla warfare tactics that they employ.
I was going to say, one of the most memorable things about that movie is the ATST that's walking, and then they cut the tree, and those two logs just swing in and crush that ATST. Like, that was solid. That was...
They reminded me of, like, the Predator movie with Arnold. Like, just the guerrilla warfare tactics. Like, you've just got branches swinging around with spikes on them, just, like, fucking shit up. You've got... You know, you're jimmying a big ass boulder with a wood stick that you know is gonna break. It does not tip that boulder, but you know, again, plot armor. You got big rocks falling. Also, I love Ewoks. They're short, but they're capable, like me. I'm short, but
Did you
I'm
watch
capable.
the Ewok movies? Like, do you remember the Ewok movies, like the spider one, the cave of whatever? And,
yeah, I've seen most of them. Now they are, the production value of them is well below the bar, but they're cute. They're cute. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
So no, I that is my fourth one is Ewoks. I think Ewoks. I appreciate. They're working woodwheel. They're working with what they've got. Like we're in the jungle. We've got vines and sticks. Let's go. So they're my favorites.
Yeah. And you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, the Gungans are the prequel Ewoks.
I can see that. The evolution of just like using what you have and that tracks. That does. All right, so that's our Mount Rushmore. So you're all on the dark side. I've got a little bit of here and there. I'm a little bit. I'm a chaotic neutral. You're just a evil. No, you know what? It's funny that a lot of times they say that people who admire more of the dark are actually better people than people who actually like walking. No, no, no. You heard it here first, folks. Don't cross paths.
I would use my powers for evil. Yeah, no. If I got bit by a radioactive spider, I would take over a city. Like
I always wanted to be
my brother
Venom,
has
not
a
Peter.
quote. My brother has a quote. He said once that if the zombie apocalypse ever starts, his first and second missions are to get here and kill me before I become too powerful.
Not a line. Oh, a great aside. Have you watched the new anime Zom 100?
I have not, but
So,
I'm interested.
It's on Netflix. It's either Netflix or Hulu. I can't remember which one. It's called Zom 100. It's based on a manga. But they came out with a 4 episode series and a movie at the same time. It's Netflix. Matter of fact, it is Netflix. Really good. So essentially, it's a guy in a deadbeat job that takes advantage of him, and he's literally go to work, come home, passes out watching TV, wishing he didn't have to go to work the next day. And then a zombie apocalypse.
Saw that.
Dude, really, really, really good.
He's like following his bucket list, like he's just having the time of his life during the zombie apocalypse.
It's called Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead. Dude, it's really good. I recommend it for anybody. Matter of fact, I should put that in the Discord server for anybody looking for one. It's a great. It's only 4 episodes, and I was really pissed because I was like, I need more. Like, I want more. Super good anime. Me and Norstar have also talked about like zombie. We've done that for a Mount Rushmore, like zombie weapons. I've always
He's wrong. I heard it. He's wrong.
I feel
anybody who picks a gun for their zombie weapons, you know where I'd go? I'd go to the museum. I'd get a set of plate armor, put some chainmail underneath it. I'd get a broadsword, and I'd walk around like king of the world.
Well, that's why I wanted the personal force field. Like I'm just gonna walk through like, but like my family has always said that like if there's a zombie apocalypse, like they're just gonna stick close to me because I'm an admitted sociopath. Like my moral compass is already out the back door anyway.
I heard about your moral compass. I don't know if you remember it, but on like episode 4, you said your moral compass is like Jack Sparrow's compass. It's pointing towards whatever you want at the time.
Pretty much, yes.
Like that was.
Yeah, I'll do anything I need to do if I feel that's what needs to happen. I've 100%. I'd murder somebody in a zombie apocalypse, no problem. If it meant that my family needed to eat, or like you've got a gun and I need it, or if you have a resource I need, don't expect me to feel bad for trying to take it. I'm sorry.
People like ask me all the time, like, how much ammo do you have? I'm like, exactly enough to get more ammo if I ever need it. That's how much ammo I have.
You know what actually, you know what's funny? I asked Matt if he watched The Ranch. Have you ever seen The Ranch on Netflix?
No, I watched like one episode of it and then I never circled back.
So if you watch one episode, you know that their father Bo is like just a steak-eating, red-blooded American. There's an episode where he's dating a woman and she goes, she's shooting Colt's almond milk off a log, and she goes, "How much ammo you got?" He goes, "I feel the answer that makes people uncomfortable." It's just a great line. It's like, how much do you have? Enough. Got enough.
Just enough.
Yeah. So that was a good little aside. So anybody that's wondering, definitely watch Zom 100, and don't be afraid to take what people have if it means you're going to survive or die otherwise. Do what you have to do. So the next thing I want to get into is, this is also in the Discord, we've talked about this a little bit, was book series. So we were talking about Eragon, and you said you weren't a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, but you are a fan of Eragon, Stormlight Archive. Anything else
Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time. That's right. You did mention that. So
I've read the Wheel of Time, like actual read, not audiobooks, but read every one of the books 5 or 6 times. And that's 12 books.
So yeah. I've been through Eragon. I actually own all of those paperbacks. I've been through them 3 or 4 times, which is a task because the last one is pretty damn big actually. I enjoyed those. I've read or listened to audiobook all the Harry Potters. I have not read Lord of the Rings. I'm take it or leave it. I could read it. I could not. But the Stormlight Archive seems to be pretty unanimous through most people that it's a fantastic series. I like the setup between the 2 different factions. I like the plot twist that you find out about Who's the as we talked
Mm-hmm.
about, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, and you're like, wait a minute, how did that happen? And I think the flow of the book works really well. You know, the I don't know if I can't say too many things because it kind of spoils it.
Yeah,
Anything
yeah, you start spoil. That's the hard thing about talking about
it
Stormlight
is.
is like anything past the first book, and you just start getting into spoilers, and it's
Well,
like, man,
how
it's
do I word it? Even saying what the main character's occupation is like spoils the first half
yeah,
of the book, maybe the first book in its entirety. Like you can't even say what he does or how he does it because you feel like you're going to ruin it for somebody.
yeah. I mean, the only thing I could really say about Stormlight Archives, as somebody who like consumes books, like I will go through there. I go through cycles where I do a book a day, like an audio book a day. I set it to 2 times speed and listen to a book a day, and that is my second favorite next to Wheel of Time. It is my favorite books ever written. I would gladly go through them again and listen to them again. Um, just incredibly, incredibly well written
I
books.
may have to go in there. I may have to go read them then because I'm always looking for like a good series to get into, but books are hard because
Well, you know, the Wheel of Time was finished by Brandon Sanderson, who wrote the Stormlight Archives. Brandon Sanderson wrote the
really
last 3 books of Wheel. Yeah, so
I did
the
not know
Wheel of
that.
Time was written by Robert Jordan. The first 10 books were written by Robert Jordan. Then Robert Jordan died, and
Oh,
before he died, he got with Brandon Sanderson, and he laid out the rest of the story for him. And Brandon Sanderson and Robert Jordan's wife finished the Wheel of Time.
interesting. I didn't know that. There's another series that Brandon Sanderson also wrote that I was interested in. It was in space. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I'm going to look it up because I don't remember what it was called.
yeah, if you, Brandon Sanderson was next on my list because all of his books take place in the same universe. He has what he calls
Yes.
the Cosmere.
Yes. That's one of the things I also appreciate about Christopher Paolini, who wrote the Eragon series,
Hmm.
was that everything he was writing, and he said he had left that universe, but he was coming back. Now, unfortunately, I don't think he ever quite made it back, but he said he was going to come back. So I do still look forward to him continuing that universe at some point. I don't know if he ever will. I hold out hope that he will.
You know, it wouldn't be fair for me not to mention. I just remembered I just finished book 12 of another massive series like a few days ago. Um, the book was called Waybound. I think it's called the Unsold series. Let me see. I got it right here. Title details. It's the Cradle series by Will
Cradle.
White. Cradle. It's 12 books long. It's finally done. He just did the final book. And it's got another one of those crazy, like you feel like you're in a fantasy book, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, is that sci-fi?
Ah,
Like,
nice, nice, nice.
and it all like intermixes together in this amazing universe that is
Gotcha.
well written.
So I think this is the one that I was talking about by Brandon Sanderson. It's called Skyward.
Yep, I actually have them downloaded right now. I'm ready to start
Right.
those.
I read the first. I think it was like the either the first book or most of the first book, and I was very impressed by it. He's a fantastic author. I think he does a great job
Hmm.
with the books that he writes, and I like I guess the tones that he's able to convey through different characters. It's one of the reasons I love Stormlight. I think all the characters were so different, but they all had like similar, I guess, goals. They were manifesting certain scenarios and things, but they all had their own little quirks and ups and downs. And I thought he did a great job with that.
We need you to read Wheel of Time then.
Yeah,
Wheel of Time is the same style where there's actually 6 main characters, and each chapter follows a different main character, and their stories diverge so much that they'll be on opposite sides of the world from each other, experiencing totally different things. And
it's funny. I just thought about it. It's almost like authors are doing like these new age like Canterbury Tale, because you've got like the
Mhm.
knight and you've got the other guy and you've got like 7 different people, and it's like it's almost like everything is a divergence of the Canterbury Tales, because they all start out here and then they go you learn how different they are and then they all come back together as a whole. It
So
just popped
I
into my head.
think as like somebody who writes a ton, I think the reason you do that is because when you tell a story from one person's point of view, like look at Harry Potter, like if you look at that just from Harry's point of view, like it seems very biased towards him and things like that. But when you start looking at it from the outside or look at it from through other people's eyes, like you start getting a whole different story altogether.
Yes. Which is why the books are so good, because it's not from his perspective as the movies are. Actually, that was Hunger Games is another example of that. The books are fantastic. The movies are good, but not great because they're all centered around what happens with her. Whereas the books, you get to see things through other people's eyes. Which was also, that's another good series, even though it's a little bit more teeny bop, I guess you'd call it. But I thought they were pretty good. Divergent was good. Another teeny bopper series.
Divergent was really good.
Was it prequel? I Am Number 4 that they came out with? I don't know.
Yeah.
That book in and of itself was really good, just because that character had so much of a character development that I really enjoyed that. But that was pretty good. What else do we have on here that we can talk about? Oh, special shout out. White women ain't scared of shit. So we talked about this. I don't know if anybody knows this, but it doesn't matter if it's a 3-pound chihuahua or an 800-pound gorilla. A white woman will walk up to it and try and take it home. This is seen by any YouTube video you've watched, anything you've ever seen from anybody that's interacted with a crazy lady who will just walk up to a stray dog that turns out to be a wolf and, you want to come home with me? Come home with me.
Isn't that the story that triggered it? Was a woman and a wolf like walking up to,
yeah.
Like a timber wolf, like, oh, it's so cute. No, that's not cute. Like,
right. That's a 120-pound wolf that will literally eat you, and you're on your back letting it lick you, screaming, you want to come home with me? I'll build you a little bed and a little playpen. It's like, that wolf will eat you. You're just lucky he's not hungry. Notably because he probably ate somebody's dog earlier that day. That's why he's not eating you right now. That's the thing that nobody really understands.
I grew up with a timber wolf, actually. My aunt, I lived with her when I was growing up, and she had a timber wolf German Shepherd hybrid. And he was massive, like 135-pound beast of a dog.
Yeah. I'm sure he was quite athletic, too.
He's very athletic.
Yeah.
And
as opposed to me, who I have a 140-pound dog, but he's laying next to me on his side, snoring and farting.
Perfect.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, he's the bestest dog in the world. I wouldn't trade him in for the world.
But I bet if anybody came through the door that wasn't supposed to, he'd have a problem with it. Right?
He's interesting. He's definitely a mama's boy. If I'm not here, he'll sit on her feet to protect her or my daughter. But with me, we wrestle. So basically, I take everything out of my pockets and I get on my knees and I put my dukes up and I go, you want to fight? And he will charge at me as hard as he can and we wrestle on the floor. But yeah, good luck. If you break into my house, best of luck to you. Good luck getting back out the window because you're going to see that his head is a fucking bowling ball. You're going to see him and you're going to get scared and run back out. So best of luck to you. So. All right, so we're going to move on to a different thing. So this is going to be, if you're aware of it, Kujo, the urban words of the day, or words of the week. So we do these every week. These are just, Urban Dictionary has some interesting definitions of things, to say the least. So we got a couple interesting ones for today. So the first one is a body doubling, which is being in the same room as another person while you go about doing your own tedious tasks. So it's not a body double, it's just a body doubling. So it's just somebody else that's in the room. You have no interaction with each other, but you're just going about doing your own little things. You don't pay attention to the other person. You don't even acknowledge that the other person's even in the room. So that'd be, a husband and wife both on their PC playing WoW. They're in their own little world. You don't even know that they're there. The next one. What's up?
Oh, that's 100% accurate.
Oh, yeah. The next one is hinky, which hinky's an interesting word. So it's strange, weird, something that's not, it's just left the center, like it's not quite right. You see something, like when you see something that's installed or something like that, and it's crooked, and you're like, that's hinky. Something's not quite right about that. That's what the word hinky means.
That's what, what's her name? From Scooby-Doo. Velma used to say that all the time. Something's hinky here.
No, she said jinkies. Or was that Shaggy?
Jinkies. No, Shaggy
no, he said
jinkies. She would say things are hinky.
Okay.
I think Velma would say things are hinky.
You might be right about that. I don't know.
Somebody used to say that.
That may be a Mandela effect. She might have said Jinkies. We're just remembering it wrong.
Maybe. That's
Absolutely.
probably right.
Could be. The next one is forklift certified, which this is a newer one, but if you don't know what that means, you're not forklift certified.
I am not forklift certified, I guess. I don't.
Apparently, forklift certified is just a free pussy pass. Like, you just tell a girl you're forklift certified and the floodgates open, apparently. I don't know. I have been forklift certified multiple times throughout my career, but it never got me anywhere, I can tell you that much. So
You never just walked up to a girl and, hey, girl, I'm forklift certified.
Apparently, that's what you have to do, though. That's how that works.
All right.
The next one is Yoasted, which I'm not sure about this one, but this one's not being sober. So Yoasted, toasted, I guess it's a synonym type of weird. It's probably somebody meant to say toasted, but they were so drunk they slurred and they just said Yoasted. Hey man, fucking Yoasted. You know what? Now that I think about it, that's probably very likely what happened. So that's an interesting one. This one was perfect. I found this one. It's called Star Wars Syndrome. I had to find this one because it was interesting. When any aging artist or celebrity begins to produce crap work entirely for the pursuit of money. I don't necessarily agree with this definition, but if you want to be technical, some of the cameos in 7, 8, 9 were, hey man, let me catch a check.
Yeah.
Little bit. I'm not saying it wasn't worthwhile, but some of them were, let me read these 2 lines, throw me a couple $1 million.
Oof. I wish.
And then the last one for the Urban Dictionary words is pouch cheese, which this one is every bit as disgusting as it sounds. So this is an infection in the hoo-ha resulting in the presence of a cheese-like secretion. So if anybody remembers Me, Myself, and Irene, where he leans into the mic and goes, got a little extra cheese on the taco?
I do remember that. That was an underrated movie, I think.
That's a great. Well, that's one of my favorite movies. I love Jim Carrey though. How could you not think that's one of the best movies? He's got a strong. I think it's
too many Jim Carrey movies that I actually enjoy. Like Ace Ventura, maybe the first one, not any of the others.
I'm a huge fan of his. I think one of his better movies was the Number 23. Which wasn't even a comedy movie.
Yes, the Number 23. That didn't even click for me as one of his movies when I was thinking about it. Yes, that is probably his best.
Yep. And then one to go with Yoasted is Hammered. H with but you got H about 6 E's, A, and then Murd. Hammered, which is when you drink beers and get drunk as shit, and it's past Yoasted. It's 2 steps past Yoasted. So you go, hey man, I'm Yoasted. And then you go, how drunk are you? I'm hammered. Hammered. So that's going to be your Urban Dictionary words for the week. And that is just about it. Do you have anything random that you'd like to bring up? You want to talk shit about Norstar? Feel free to throw a couple jabs at him. He's not here to defend himself, which is the best way to do it.
Not really. I'm super honored that you guys even thought to have me come in and that was great fun. I spent all week listening to every episode I could of the old episodes.
We appreciate it. I mean, I campaigned for you for a long time because I wanted to talk about Star Wars, and this was before when he was still on the fence about I'll watch him. I don't know. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
That's probably why he gave me the shot, because when we started, he's like, I'm just going to let you know, I might not like this. And then, we finished episode 1, he's like, let's watch episode 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the end of it, he said he was, pressuring you to put him back into, more of the rotation because he wanted to get into it so much.
The one thing that I want to pressure him to do? I want him to start streaming again.
So apparently, according to his, for anybody listening, we have a topic idea that we throw our ideas in. Kujo threw a couple in there, but we kept ours in the DM to keep them secret from Norstar, so that he wouldn't see him until he actually watches this, which is going to be absolutely fucking hilarious. But he actually says he has made a decision on what he's going to do streaming going forward, and for all of our sake, I would like to see him continue to stream as well because, well, I'm the moderator in his chat. I'm there to keep him, his chat straight and all that. But I always enjoyed watching him. I think he's very entertaining. I think he has a lot to offer as far as a streamer. But as we've all heard him say, and as you may know, because you stream here and there, is that it's a personal thing. If you don't have the motivation, you got to find it within yourself to want to do it. So I also hope that he gets back into it. And I guess we'll see where we go from here going forward. But
Trying to drag him in with me because I'm now streaming full time, so I stream every single day now. Like I stream 4 hours a day every day, and I want him to start playing squad with me and streaming squad with me.
Right.
Well, and I'm gonna drag him in there kicking and fighting if I have to.
He's gonna have you playing Battle Bit within a week.
He's tried. I can't do it.
I don't blame you. It looks ridiculous. Roblox and Minecraft had a bastard baby.
That's what I say all the time.
Right?
Are you guys playing Roblox
right.
again? Like,
so you are the guest here. So by all means, if you want to shout out your all your tags and your Twitch and all that good stuff to let people know where to find you at.
Yeah, anybody who wants to check me out, I stream on Twitch at it's Crazed Kujo, KrazDKujo. And that's actually really the only place that you're going to find me is Twitch.
Okay.
I welcome everybody in. Like I run my own gaming community. I have a bunch of awesome mods, and I do mostly milsim games and teach people how to play.
Excellent. All right, so that was Kujo. I am Jason, Shades of Idiocy. Listen, this was a kind of a put together thing. We weren't sure how this was going to go. I think it went really well. We appreciate all you guys coming in to listen. Obviously, Norstar's not here. He will be back next week. You're all going to hear him yell at me about probably something that he thinks I did wrong or perceives that I did wrong. But until then, we appreciate you guys listening. So I am Shades of Idiocy. That is Kujo. And thank you so much for coming to watch. Listen, tell a friend. Tell somebody else about us. If leave a comment. We promise that we're going to get to it. We will comment on them. Kujo, you were on this podcast, so feel free to check in. And if somebody comments on you, feel free to comment back to them. So thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate you, and have a good night. And we're going to go back into it. I'm going to stop recording right here because you know what? This podcast didn't suck, but I do suck Matt's ass.